Hello, my name is Wendy Dela Cruz, and I'm the assessment specialist for the district. This video is part of the Aware Data Analysis for Teachers series of videos, and this is part 2, Tools in Excel. In this video, I'm going to be using these quick views that I have exported to Excel from Aware, the Student Learning Standard Breakdown by teacher or course, and by student. I've also exported the Lead Forward Intentional Intervention by teacher or course, and by student. We're going to go over first these basic tips and tricks in Excel. We're going to be combining sheets into one spreadsheet, resizing, hiding, unhiding, paste, transpose, and doing some formulas. Then we'll get into some more advanced skills, double-clicking, conditional formatting, sorting by columns and rows, and applying a filter. So here are my 4 Excel sheets that I have exported. I'm going to open the first one, and I've already named it Intentional Intervention by Course. I'm going to save it. And the reason I did that is because I need to have this one file saved so that I can combine these other exported sheets all together. I'm going to take my Intentional Intervention by Student, and I'm going to right-click on the tab. This menu will pop up. I'm going to click Move or Copy. I want to move it. I don't want to create a copy of it. I want to actually move it. And I'm going to move it, choose this up here, which book. Each Excel file is a different book, and so I want to choose the name of a different book. So I'm going to choose this one right here, Data from MathStar. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And so now they've appeared in the same file. So I'm going to do that again on the other Excel. So then the next thing I wanted to show you was actually how to get this name to change from sheet 1, which is the standard default, to what I want to name this sheet. So this is my Student Learning Standard Breakdown by course, by period, so I can double click on it, or another thing you can do is right click on it, just like we did Move or Copy, click Rename, and then I can call it TEAC by course. And then I just press Enter in order to, or click out of it in order for the name to save. Now I'm going to show you a couple of ways to resize columns or rows. One thing that you can do, for example, I see these teaks are too small, and I can put my cursor in between the two rows out in the gray area, and you see this black arrow. There's a line with a double arrow on it. If I double click right there, it will automatically resize so that all of the information appears. Another thing that I want to do is I want to select all of my data, and I don't want all these decimals in here. So I've selected it, and I want to come up right here, and I want to decrease the decimal. I'm not interested in that level of accuracy, because now I've got all of this blank space that I can combine and reduce the amount of space. So if I select up here in the top where the actual letter is, that highlights all information in that row, or I mean in that column. If I select and drag across to all of that information, I've selected all of them. If I put my cursor right between the two column letters up in the gray area up at the top, you also notice that same black double-sided arrow. If selecting all of those columns together and then dragging over one column, I'm telling it to adjust automatically all of the widths of all of those columns all at the same time. So now I want to show you how to hide and unhide rows or columns. So I'm going to select this entire row, and I can drag and select multiple rows at the same time. Again, I did that out in the numbers on the far left. If I do that just over the actual demographics, it will not select all of the entire row. So you have to do that out to the side over the numbers. Right click, and then I'm going to hide these rows. Notice that the number jumps. That's your indication that there are some hidden rows there. In order to unhide it, if I put my cursor in between there and right click, unhide, and then they appear. But I want to go ahead and hide those so that I have less data to look at. And I can only look at the actual averages for each of the periods. So now I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I'm doing this by clicking on the plus sign out to the right. And sometimes you'll notice that these number signs appear. That's because it's probably a 100% there, and the column width is just not wide enough. So I can just drag that over just a little bit. I can double click also, and it automatically adjusts to the right width. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to copy, paste, transpose. And what that does is it takes horizontal data like this that wouldn't necessarily print out nicely on one sheet, and we'll paste it transpose, in other words, vertically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my cells. I'm going to copy, and then I need to insert a sheet, and up in the cell A1, I'm going to come down to paste, and I want to do this one right here that says paste transpose. If you're wondering why this looks like so much data, it's because all of those hidden rows have now also been unhid when we copied them. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete them now. Now the height of them is really wide, and that's because this text was transposed and the orientation of the text is going vertical. So I'm going to select that, and I want to change the orientation, and that's right here. Click on it, and changing it to horizontal, I have to actually go to Format Cell Alignment, and then I find it easiest just to click right there so that it's going horizontal and press OK. And then that makes it far easier to print and view and use with teachers to discuss. So the next tip I'm going to show you is about averaging, including averages. So often I will do this when I'm looking at a student breakdown. And what I like to do is have a formula for my average so that I have my overall average just in here. So what I can do is go down to the bottom of one of the columns, and then I'll go to this right here, insert a function. The average one is the first one that pops up. It's usually typically what teachers or what other users would like to do. Press OK, and it will guess what is the range of the cells that I want. And I usually just drag it over and double check. Is the first cell that I have data in F4? It is. And is the last cell that I have data F59? And it is. And then I press OK. And then it will give me that average. I want to copy the same thing, and I don't want to have to do that repeatedly over and over. So if you notice, anytime you have your cursor in a cell, you have this little square down in the bottom right corner. If I hover over it, it changes to a plus sign. I can click on it, drag it over, and that essentially tells Excel to repeat whatever function that I did in this cell, in this case, average of all of the values above it, and it repeats it over to all the way over to the right. So that's how I quickly insert an average. So those are some basic skills that I usually use in Excel. Look for the next video where I'll teach you more advanced skills.